This is Corey Willis with PPEI, and you're listening to the Diesel Podcast.
I'm Adam Blattenberg from Diesel World.
Hi, this is Dan, owner of Dan's Diesel Performance.
I'm Christian Roth of DD Diesel.
I'm Braden Fleece, and you're listening to the Diesel Podcast.
What is going on, Diesel Nation? We're excited to have you guys with us today on the Diesel Podcast. On today's episode, we've got a longtime podcast listener on. His name is Matt Drake, and he has a 2003 5.9-liter Cummins, and he's going to tell us about the truck. And it started out as manual and had some, bolt-on upgrades to it, and it's gone through quite the transformation. He had a set of compounds on it, and then he went to a big single, and now it's being turned into a dedicated race truck. And he's going to tell us about that process, what it's been like building the transmission himself, doing engine work, turbo work, swapping injectors, injection pump, tons of different things, and what his goal is long-term for it. Before we get to the podcast, though, we want to encourage you guys, if you're looking to get some maintenance done on your truck, performance, tow better, make sure to check out alligatorperformance.com. They've got a ton of promotions going on for different brands, different savings that you can take advantage of. Just go to alligatorperformance.com, check out what they have. And if you have any questions, just feel free to give the guys a call. You can send in a message or an email. They're more than happy to help you, and they'll get you to an expert that specializes and knows about your particular truck and what you're trying to do. All right, let's get to the podcast with Matt and chatting about his 5.9-liter Cummins drag truck. Matt, welcome to the Diesel Podcast. I'm excited to chat with you today, and I've seen your truck before, and we're not in the same state, but we're in the same region, and I've definitely seen it through the years, and you had reached out and said, hey, I'm taking it even farther. So I thought it'd be really great for us to chat about your truck getting into diesels and the process of modifying it, and then how you made the jump to where you're taking it now. So we're really excited to chat with you today.
I'm excited to be here. How you been, Pat?
I've been good. Just excited for the country to open back up, racetracks to be open. Want to see some trucks go fast down the track, and see what people were working on over the winter. So looks like that's happening. And I wanted to start for our listeners is as far as background with you and diesel trucks is. Were you always into them? Was there, maybe a friend that had one and you really liked it and you're like, I gotta get a Cummins and modify it and do what I wanted to do? Or how did it start for you?
Well, I was racing motocross in Casper, and my cousin had a second gen that at the time was fairly fast, and I think it had ATS's transmission in it, and I think it had a Edge comp box, I think is what they were back then. And he took me for a ride in it during intermission, and kind of just started to get hooked there, and then life kind of just went on, and then I had a buddy in high school that had an 05, and I think it had like a Smarty on there, and maybe like a 64 millimeter turbo or something like that. But at the time it was pretty crazy. He thought it was making a lot of power, and just kind of got into it from there. My dad ended up melting down his 7.3, pulling an excavator at work, and it just so happened to be that my cousin at the time was trying to sell that first truck that I ever went for a ride in, which was a 98.5 second gen. And so we ended up picking it up so he could, go to work and take us to the races and stuff in it. And finally the day come where he got a newer vehicle. I ended up buying that, and that was kind of where I got started. And I kept, breaking the transmission in it, because that was 47s were just kind of becoming a thing. And ended up selling that and got a 2003 gasser truck, and drove that for like 2 months, and was like, this is not for me. And so we looked at the time. I really wanted a 6-speed, because all the automatics had so many problems when you souped them up and stuff. At the time I knew that there wasn't any way, or didn't think there was any way, that I would be able to afford building an automatic. And so we found a 6-speed down in I think it was Cheyenne, and it wasn't wasn't like it was never really a super nice truck from when I got it. It had its fair share of D's and stuff in it, and just brought it back. And next thing I know, started wanting more and more. And I think when I got it, it had a Edge. I don't even remember what they're called now, but just wanted more and more. So I ordered some 100 horse nozzles, and I added a turbo kit and just did some supporting mods, aerodynamic stuff like that, and just kind of grew and grew from there. I made probably $650 with that truck for quite a while, and then I kept having problems with the input shafts on the 6-speeds. I kept twisting them off, and so I finally made the switch to a automatic. And
I think that's about the time I remember seeing your truck. I don't remember if you had the added turbo on it or if you had done a single, but you had done the conversion. You had done the 40, the automatic conversion on it. And I think right around then was when the hunger for power really took over, and you were looking to take the truck farther. And I wanted to ask you about that part of it. So going from the added turbo and the manual to doing the automatic conversion, where did you take it next with power? And what were your goals for it? Was it a truck you daily drove, or was it something you wanted to have fun with, take to the racetrack?
Yeah, it was still, at that time, it was still my daily driver. And I got into the automatic game, and then I had the automatic. I traded a guy my 6-speed and everything we needed to swap over, so air adapter plate and everything like that. And I pulled all the stuff off of my truck, and he pulled all the stuff off of his truck. He wanted a 6-speed, so met him in halfway from wherever he was from. I think it was Belfouche or something, and that was when it started. And I think I had the automatic in there for maybe a month, and I smoked overdrive in it, and I was kind of sitting there like, okay, well, what do I do now? I just blew up an automatic, and now I got to figure out how to get it back together. And so I just started looking at the book, and had my dad to kind of help me with the process of tearing it down and rebuilding it. And he's not a automatic transmission guy or anything like that, just kind of a perfectionist, and he helped me. We kind of did the first one together, and I had 2 eyes on it just to try to make sure that we could get it back together right, and put it back together. And since then, I think I've done mine a few times, and my dad's and a couple buddies, and just trying to help everybody out, just to you get them close friends that help you with your stuff, you help them with their stuff. And so just automatics. And then I think after about that time, I traded actually my dad. He wanted something that was more user friendly. He had a single 75, and he was getting to be tired of working on his truck all the time, and wanted something a little more tow friendly. So I traded in that compound kit I had for a single 75, and I think that was about the time I ordered. They were 200% injectors and twin fuelers, and I sent the turbo to Jose at Force Deductions and had him make it an 80 millimeter, and just kind of kept growing from there. Trying to, now it's completely completely gutted, and I'm kind of, I don't know, not rich, so I try to make things work, like the bedsides and stuff like that. I took the time to cut them basically off the, stock bed and use them in, fab brackets to hold them up to where it's just the bedsides, and put a chromoly roll cage in it, and it came bent, but I had to do all the cutting to size and coping, and I had a buddy that was a good TIG welder, and so he kind of helped with the TIG welding it in, and
You're going all in.
I'm going all in. I mean, we went to UCC, I think, in 18, and that was another thing that kind of helped me with my terrible decisions. And so I got back from there, and I was like, well, man, it'd be really cool to have a drag truck, I mean, you drive a truck on the street like that, and it, I'm not the guy that try to just smoke people out or, anything to be ornery, I guess, or anything, but it just got to the point where, driving it on the street was hard. The cops, they kind of, frowned upon it, and I was always getting, pulled over, and I mean, just, there was just time to maybe say, let's just buy another daily driver and go all in on this one.
I think there's a lot of owners out there that get right in that position where it's you can drive it, and especially being in Wyoming, you're at a higher elevation, so it's going to be different than driving it at sea level. But it can be tough either with if you got to tow something or haul something, or just the street manners of it. Was it a real hard decision to say, I'm going to basically retire this truck, off the street, and I'm going to turn it into a race truck, or had you been doing it long enough where you were ready? It was just, that's what you wanted to do?
I'd say probably a little bit of both. I mean, I was like, I want to, it probably aged too a little bit, and my record's getting clean, I don't want to be out on the street, getting tickets anymore, and I just take it to the track. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I have a daily driver, and it's by no means stock, and I still do hot rod around probably more than I should, but I just I like to build things and fab things, and so it was just kind of I guess let's just go for it. And Brandon's the buddy that helps me do a lot of, we work on each other's trucks, and he helps me and I help him, and he was there, and he was kind of in on all this, and he was an influence on my decisions, but just went for it, and it's been kind of sitting in the corner for probably almost 2 years now. I mean, I think it was last summer, we did the cage and the bedsides, and then I'm kind of an avid snowmobiler, so when winter hits, I'm like, put that in the corner, let's go snowmobiling, and kind of drug it out, and I'm starting to work on it now. It's I'm just trying to get it back together, just to go drag racing. It's like kind of living on a prayer. It's got 230,000 miles on the stock bottom end, and it's gotten some nitrous quite a few times, and it just keeps going. I don't know. It's a weird one.
Is a plan just to run it till something happens, and once it happens, pull it and kind of address it from there?
Well, I mean, I'm not opposed to that. I mean, you do that, you kind of run a block, which sucks because then you got to buy a block. But at the same time, just engines are expensive and parts are expensive, and so I was just going to try to get it by for maybe another year, and then maybe next year build the engine in it. I do that stuff. You build the engine and the transmission. I try to do everything I can myself, between myself and that one buddy, and just we actually just built the engine in my other daily driver because I got it and everything was fine, and then somehow it ended up with a broken second compression ring on cylinder 1, and then the piston was broken between the oil ring and the second compression ring on cylinder 6. But so I tore that one on and rebuilt it, and we're going to try to rebuild this one eventually and see if we can do a good enough job that it holds some power, I guess.
What is as far as, you know, like racetracks around you, what are there some around you, or do you have to travel a little bit for them, or what's? I know there's a lot of diesel trucks in Wyoming that, you know, they're used for work and things like that, but there's also a lot of fast ones and things that people do with them. And for people who aren't, you know, in the region or in the state, what is the diesel scene, you know, like there for performance?
There's a handful of people that have some pretty gnarly, I guess, street trucks, you would want to call them, and kind of track trucks both around here. And there's some. You have to go to Sturgis, which is the closest drag strip, and there's a couple people that come out of, you know, like Rapid City and South Dakota, basically, with their drag trucks. But it's not. The scene in that area is not super huge. There's not a ton of people that'll, you know, go all out and make a drag truck. It's more, you know, LS motors and stuff like that to, you know, putting Camaros and stuff like that. So actually, when I race here, I'll be racing against the cars in the small tire class. But so I don't know. I'm just trying to get it as light as I can so that maybe we can keep up, kind of. Try to.
So with, you know, like a long-term goal you have for it, is it something that you want to, you know, say do the UCC qualifier one day?
I think that would be really cool. It's I don't know. It's hard to, you get stuck between, you know, living within your means and these goals that you have, you know, and I would sure like to shoot for something like that. I think it would be an awesome experience, and just to do it, and you know, it'd be awesome just to say you did it, or, you know, you went for it and tried. And but I mean, for now, I'm just trying to get it going. And as far as end goals with the truck, I guess there's, you know, you could set an end goal and say you want it to make 1,500, but, you know, right when you get it to 1,500, you're going to be like, well, man, now I want 2,000.
Yep.
You know, so it's just, I think it's, the goal's always moved forward and stepped up, especially with, you know, how diesels have progressed over the years and how much they've grown, and in the performance world. I remember, it seems like 6-7 years ago, 1,000 horsepower truck, maybe it's longer, I don't know, but it seems like a 1,000 horsepower truck was pretty wild. And now it's, you know, I mean, 1,000 horsepower truck's still respectable, but it's kind of like, okay, you know, so I'd like to step it up, but just for now, just trying to get it going and get it to go down the track. And I think that'll probably light my fire again, and I'll probably want way more. But
it sort of happens in stages, doesn't it? Like the first time you get hooked, it's usually that launch, you know, and like the 0 to 60 or 0 to 70 in this larger truck. You're like, how does it move this fast? Why did it feel like that? And then once you have that for a while, it's like you get used to it and you need more, and you add a couple hundred horsepower and 300 or 400 foot-pounds of torque, and it's fun, and then you get used to it, and it just keeps going and going and going. And I think that's really hard for newer diesel owners that get into the performance side. It's so hard to almost explain it in a way, because if you think of, you know, where trucks used to be, you know, 325 horsepower, you know, 300, whatever it was, and now they're at 650 at the tire, and you think, wow, that would be, I'd be completely happy with that. And it's just this process that driving it for a while, you get used to it, and then it feels like 350.
Yep, it's crazy. I mean, there for a while, I didn't have a, you know, fast truck, because mine was kind of over in the corner in pieces, and But yeah, I mean, even you don't ride in one for a little while, and then you go ride in one, you're like, man, this thing hauls butt, and it's like maybe a 700 horsepower truck, and you're like, I can't believe I used to have 1,000 horsepower street truck. It's just the power is unreal, and then just I love launches. I just love that like G-force that just sets you back, and that's pretty awesome to me. But
I think that's one of the really cool things with UCC, like we were chatting about, is with the qualifier, is it provides an opportunity to do that. Like, you've done a lot of the work on the truck yourself, and with the help of friends or family, doing transmissions and things like that. Is you can take your time and do that build as time allows, and then take it to something where the fastest diesel trucks in the world are at one track, and you get that opportunity to compete. And I think it's one of the really cool things, and giving the opportunity for racers out there that you don't have a race program and an unlimited budget and a whole support network to go with it. It kind of takes it back to the roots of diesel performance, I think, where when it started, that's what pulled a lot of people in, was you could do this stuff on your own or with the help of some friends and go have fun at the track. And you go to dynos, things like that, and people would look and be like, how do you make that much power?
yeah, I love I love the racing part of it. I raced motocross for a long time, and I'm getting too old for that now. So with age comes a cage, they say, and I'm feeling that. So, but I like the driving portion of it a lot. Just the competitiveness, and the race, racing, and just seeing who can outdrive who, and so I mean I love the diesel industry more than I would say the gas industry. But as far as I mechanic and work on my own stuff so that I can kind of so that I can afford to race, or so I can get to race, just all in good time, I guess. Just have to kind of go with it and see where it goes.
One of the things, and I know our listeners love, is they love to see the truck. And it's kind of different, like with a podcast is, we're talking, there's no visual to it, but you have some really good truck pictures, and documenting the build itself. Is how can people find you on Instagram, see what you're doing with the truck, and some of the upgrades, changes, or when you take it out and start racing it?
I'm on Instagram at DrakeMoto391. That's probably the best way, and just Matt Drake on Facebook, and that's about it. Yeah, you have to scroll through some pictures to get to some truck stuff, but it's on there. There's a lot of snowmobile stuff on there too. So
with where you're at now, what's the next part of the build or the project that you're working on?
Right now I'm finishing the insides, just covering the factory holes and stuff where we had carpet stuff over it before, and just gonna paint the inside of it, and I'm gonna try my hand at painting. I've never done auto body paint, so I'm gonna just give it a go, and just like I kind of do everything, and hopefully it works out. But do that, and vinyl line the floor in there, and just try to make that all look good. And I gotta get some head studs and some drag radials and get the head back on it, and then I think it'll be ready to go racing about then, and we'll just go see how it does. And I think the next thing I want to do, besides some engine work, would be I want to try to 4-link the rear, see what that does. But just take each project and try to knock each one of them out, and then move on to the next one. And I think for people that are unsure, if they can do this, or if they want to do this. I mean, I think you would surprise yourself with what you can and do. I mean, I do all this stuff out of like a 24-foot by 24-foot 2-car garage with an add-on in the front of it, and I don't have crazy resources at my disposal, so I just kind of make do and do the best I can with what I got. And just at the end of the day, it's kind of about just saying that you've done everything to your truck, that you built it. That means a lot to me. So
well, it'll also be cool if people who follow you on Instagram, they can see when you're doing the interior, or when you put the head back on and all that sort of stuff, which I think a lot of the people that are in the position you're in, they like to see what other truck owners are doing. They might have questions for you, might have be stuck on something, and so we hope that they click on over, follow you, if they have any questions or anything, and just be able to get their projects done as well. And it's always been cool to hear what you're doing with yours. And then, like I said, when you reached out and said you're turning into a race truck, I was like, oh, I definitely got to chat with Matt and see what he's got cooking up. So it was great to catch up with you, see where the truck is now, and when you take it out and race it, definitely let us know, shoot us some videos so we can see what it's doing, and then as you dial it in, that whole process of dialing in the truck and suspension and everything else.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I've been getting kind of excited. It's getting closer and closer to that time, and that's the goal for now. I'm sure it'll change, but
awesome. Well, we appreciate you chatting with us today, and we're sure that you're ready to get working on the truck and stuff this afternoon and everything. But yeah, thanks for reaching out, telling us about the truck, and look forward to seeing it here, hopefully this summer, making some passes.
I hope so. Thank you for having me.
Don't forget, Diesel fans, if there's any questions you have about modifying your truck, or you got to do some maintenance items or anything like that, head on over to alligatorperformance.com. We'll put a link in the description, so if you're on social media or on YouTube, anything like that, you can just click right over. You can search by year, make, and model. And if there's any questions that you have about modifying your truck or doing upgrades to it, just give the guys a call or send in an email or a chat message. They'll be more than happy to help you. Till next time, keep the shiny side up.